Hello folks, I'm Randall Osborne. I worked with Ron Wyatt for 7 years and I want to welcome you to our video, Noah's Ark, The Evidence. Ron Wyatt did a mini borehole excavation that produced incredible artifacts that are even today visually recognizable. These things were hidden away for centuries and has now been brought out for us to see. The animal antler and the carpelite or animal dung are most impressive.
Okay, here are just a few of Ron's discoveries.
But the next two artifacts are even more impressive, and that has to be the deck timber and the iron rivet. That Ron found these things there at the boat around many other people makes these findings incontrovertible.
This rivet speaks volumes to us today. This rivet represents Noah's signature. More about that later. Okay, what does a 4,000-year-old ship look like after being dug up? It looks similar to this Sutton Hoo burial ship. See, the iron nails are almost all that is left. Now, it was 1992, the last trip I was there in Turkey that year, and since we had already done a number of things at the ship, and since while our busload of tourists were not allowed to go out to the boat because the Turkish Army Brigade stopped our bus some miles from the boat, our bus had to turn around and go back to the closest town. While there, Ron, who was very anxious to know how the boat was doing, rented a taxi and put 3 of us in it along with the driver to send us out to the boat. That was Dr. Barkhazen, Dr. Heiler, and myself. We could only be there a very short time, like 10 minutes. But in that time, I went to the back of the boat and where I took some pictures and picked up some rocks to take back with me. Now, while I had given those rocks to Ron and I was still there in his hotel room, he started looking at those rocks intently. And what happened next will never be effaced from my memory as long as I live. You see, while Ron was seriously looking at one rock, he started walking over to where I was and pointed to what had to be a nail, around 10 inches long, square, embedded in that rock, and said in his usual calm manner, "Now here we have a nail from Noah." All I could say is, yeah, it sure looks like it to me. I wish I had taken a picture of it, because to this day I never learned what happened to that square nail. But that was just the first of many nails I was permitted by Providence to be able to see. 17 years had passed. Ron dies during this time, and I wonder, will we ever have concrete proof to share with the world? Folks, now here we have a very rare artifact, an actual part of a nail that is not oxidized but still recognizable from Noah's Ark. Wow. The Encyclopedia Wikipedia says, evidence is the available body of facts or information indicating whether a belief or proposition is true or valid. So, is the available body of information or facts that we do have true or valid? First, it has been shown there is iron in different forms that may have been parts of beams, posts, brackets, or even iron plates under or around wood to strengthen it. There is iron remnants of metal construction that can be seen in rows or as columns, but all this remaining iron is so badly oxidized that it is unrecognizable, therefore not provable. But just what is recognizable and provable?
Okay, what I have here is just a piece of material that had fallen off from the side of this boat and landed here. There's a number of pieces here. But this particular piece, I noticed, has little nails in it. A close-up of that after a little bit. But it's definitely something that's very unique here. Thank you. Okay, that's all I need. We need to go. We need to go. Okay, folks, this is Randy Osborne, and I'm going to share with you 3 nails. These nails I picked up in eastern Turkey at the Dogenbayzit Noah's Ark site. And here we go. This is the first nail. I'm just sharing the first 2 nails are just the tops of the nails. And this nail, to see it better, you probably need to have the magnifying glass. And the second nail is over here. You know, these are in line. I wanted you to understand 3 nails in line. But the second nail is, of course, it's a broken off piece also in the material. But this chunk of material has cracked out and has come off. But I want you to be able to see this other nail here. It's just the top of it, or the part of the broken off piece. Okay, and the end, the last or the third nail is this one here. You can see it here. It's about 1 inch long, what's left of it. But understand, these are 4,000-year-old nails. Very, very old. And they are still nails with iron in them, as well as other man-made materials. This is a neodymium magnet, and you can see that it will stick to this nail. Now, how do I know that these nails have other than just iron? Because we've had one of these nails analyzed. I want to thank Kevin Fisher for his willingness to take this nail here. I sent it to him, and he sent it to a laboratory and had it analyzed. What's interesting about this nail is it's corrugated. It has a ridge around it that goes like this. Here, maybe you can see it better with the magnifying glass. And it has a ridge around it. And this nail has been analyzed, and it's not just iron. Let me give you the picture of the front of it also. This has titanium and aluminum in this, and those are 2 metals that are not found in the earth by itself. So it's quite interesting. What this tells us is, number 1, there's man-made metals in this Noah's Ark site.
These are Kevin Fisher's results that he got back from the lab. This nail was fracturing and breaking up, so I had to seal it from the air and place it on this rod to be able to share it with folks. Okay, folks, here is Noah's signature, aluminum and titanium. Not only in Noah's nails, but in the rivets as well. In 1992, I took these pictures of the fault line. Let's step into Noah's Ark together. Yes, this is going inside the boat. What are we looking at? Strange formations for sure, and interesting colors. Okay, let's look real close. Is there anything here of a recognizable shape? Okay, watch your step. Now here we have a light-colored stone with a dark smeared area, maybe iron. See that star shape in the center of that rock? Could that be a sheared off iron rod? I don't know, maybe. Strange formations here. In 2010, I was here in eastern Turkey. What I saw was totally incredible. Maybe from down here. You can see that it's definitely
almost completely round, but no, maybe not completely. It looks like it could be an iron bar, though, of some sort. Interesting, though.
Yes, this is my recent copy of what I found at the back of Noah's Ark in 2010.
You're looking at is still the keelson, part of the keelson, and it's easy to see it's definitely keelson. Now, I put a little water in this area. You can see the beam. This is all one beam. This hasn't been cleaned off much, this area here, but there's definitely signs of petrified wood here, right through here. All this, so this color here is petrified wood here. This coloration, you can see it all through here. And this is a part of the this rock is part of the back of the boat. It comes like through here. There's a whole series of rocks. There's here. It comes all the way through as part of the boat, part of the back of the boat. But then the keelson, these were on top of the keelsons. They weren't rocks at the time. They were large, either timbers or something. I'm not sure. Iron, something. Anyway, this is a large keelson. You can look and see through here. As you look through here, you can see where the keelson extends down through here. Right here where my hand is. This is all petrified wood in here. And all down through here. Also, that's pretty significant right there. You can see this is definitely part of the petrified wood keelson. And it extends on down here. So, this is pretty significant. Pretty significant here. This is the keelson all through here. And that's just part of it. The earthquake fault line, this is the earthquake. This groove in here, the earthquake just ate this out. And it goes on, extended on down through the valley through here. Went down right through here. Yeah, and it went on up the boat right from there. It's pretty interesting. But it broke this keelson apart. And this whole thing is keelson. This one was a huge, gigantic keelson. Huge, I mean very large. I couldn't tell you how wide it was at this point or how deep it was. But I can see it's definitely all the same material through here, showing that it is petrified wood, which means it is part of the keelson that extended out past the boat, because the boat is up front here where this rock is at. This was the back of the boat, and a keelson extended out past it, which is quite significant. It's quite important finding here. Okay.
What is a signature? Now, Wikipedia says the term signature is also used to mean characteristics that give an object or a piece of information its identity. For example, the shape of a Coca-Cola bottle is a signature. So if the nails I have found are in fact man-made as the lab states, would it not be reasonable to conclude they are the signature of Noah? Yes, we have found Noah's signature.
September 24th, 2010. We're standing here on the site that has been exposed to the world and is believed to be by many Noah's Ark. Now, what's the significance of this site? What's the impact upon the world? As we examine some of the circumstantial evidence that surrounds this ark, one of the things we come across repeatedly is coral. And we have to continually ask ourselves why the presence of coral is significant. And we're at about 6,500 feet high, or 1,992 meters. Behind me is Mount Ararat. Now this particular craft is pointed almost in a north-south direction, but the bow is pointing south. This vehicle, this craft, is about 515 feet from the bow to the stern. Now the biblical dimensions gave it at 300 cubits, and if we use a Royal Egyptian cubit of 20.62 inches, we find out we have a match. Now, as the evidence begins to mount, we've come here to examine again and again the new discoveries that are here. One of the things that brought us back was the experimentation with magnets, and we found last year that some of the samples were highly attracted to magnets. And we began to speculate that if iron is present here in a uniform pattern, it implies that this is a man-made structure. Now from that standpoint, we would assume that the iron or the metal brackets, as we're postulating, are attached to wooden beams, which at this point in time are petrified. Now, year by year, more and more evidence is accumulated, and at this point, at least in my mind, the evidence is growing in an affirmative direction. Now, this is startling at every level. First of all, the presence of a craft of this size at this elevation implies that water came out to a plane of at least 6,500 feet high. It's startling in the sense that we would have to re-evaluate all of the geology and the events of the world, and I'm sure that's one reason why people are extremely reluctant to consider this. Now consider this, that the fossils of the world and the fossil beds of this world consistently show that those fossils were trapped in streams, as they say, or in some kind of flood. So over and over again, those fossil bed, as it exists today, are found in a flood plain, alluvial plain, however they want to call it. The implications are then that in relatively recent time, this craft was the only satellite and the only means of salvation to a world that catastrophically perished. Now that idea is so startling and is so earth-shaking in terms of the scientific world that I'm sure it won't find very much receptivity. However, for those people who follow the Bible, not as a narrative, not as a legend, not as a myth, but as an historical event of man's dealing with God and man's dealing with one another, this stands as what I would say a tombstone for humanity. So it's a warning. This says there was a point in time where God was willing to destroy all the evil in the world to preserve good. And that's a lesson that most people aren't willing to accept. That everyone who is evil has no place in a world where God says He wants good to reign. That's why this particular site is so impressive, not just to me, but I'm sure to other people as they take that time and opportunity to come and visit. And I'm sure in the future that this site will become much more significant than it is today. But it stands alone as a testament, and it's also a warning, just like I'm sure it was in the days of Noah, when people could look at it, ponder why it was there, and say, what's going on here? Now, one of the significant statements of Jesus was that He said, so shall it be as in the days of Noah, the last days. So shall it be as in the days of Noah, that people will be eating and drinking when woe, sudden destruction comes upon us. The presence of this testament, the presence of this monument, the presence of this tombstone is a warning. And for some people, they see this as the signs of the ends of time. However you look at it, this particular site is significant for mankind at this time in history.
So, as in the days of Noah, those who have hearts to feel and faith to believe are especially favored with evidences of God's power. But like the good book says, in Noah's day, every imagination of their heart was only evil continually. You have seen here astounding evidence. But not just evidence. This is proof for that Bible. This is incontrovertible proof. This is evidence you can get excited about if you're a Christian. But if you're not, it's time to take another look at the Bible and have a talk with God. time is almost up, folks. Please, let's not be stiff-necked and stubborn people like Noah's generation. I want to give many thanks to Rod Blair and Kevin Fisher for their much support. Thank you, guys.